Yeah, that's one of the big things. Everybody wants to know what it takes to make a fishing show, and I'll tell you what, it is difficult. It is. You got to know the spots. We got some people in the background because we're at R&R Bait Shop, so we got some happy fishermen out there ready to go fishing, getting ready to go to Antrim and catch some trout. So that's coming up pretty soon.
Release coming up? I forgot about it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you better get ready for the release.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest thing going on in Columbus when it comes to fishing. When they put those trout in the Antrim Lake, it's like a flood of guys.
It's just a ring of people around the lake. What do you say is left after the first 5 hours? About 20%?
Actually, I think it's a little more than 20% that's left. What happens is the fish are a little bit disoriented at first. A lot of them get caught, but it depends on what condition those fish are in when they come in. If they haven't fed them for a few days, and if it was a nice smooth ride coming in, no potholes, then the fishing may be good. And then you need a wind that's blowing into the bank, because the trout are weak. They live their life in that hatchery, and they don't fight the wind very well. They go with the wind. So if you've got a wind that's pushing toward the middle of the lake, you're going to have trouble catching fish until it pushes them all the way to the opposite bank. Then you got to go over there and catch them. So yeah, that's one of the things that you got to work when you're fishing for those hatchery trout. You got to work with the wind. Put it right in your face. Find the nearest corner where the wind is blowing into. When the fish are swimming around and the wind blows them in, they're going to hit the first corner and they're going to circle before they move on. And so that is the place where they're going to spend the greatest amount of time. And that's consistently. Wherever you go in the state of Ohio and they put those hatchery trout in, go to the bank where the wind is blowing in and look for the nearest corner, because they're going to go there, they're going to circle around before they move on.
Interesting. So you were saying what's the most difficult thing about putting together a fishing TV show? It's you got to know the spots, and obviously weather's never your friend.
Weather's never your friend. When you're watching a show on TV, it always seems like, or on the internet, it always seems like the sun is shining, and that's because you don't want to run an expensive camera in the rain. And so you always have to worry about weather conditions. You know, if it's raining, that's it, you're not filming. If it's too windy and the boat is getting blown off of the lake, well, then you're out of it then. So, you know, it's very difficult in terms of just weather, and then, you know, just the logistics of putting a show together. It always seems like the camera isn't running when you hook up on the fish. I mean, especially in Ohio, because you may fish for 8 hours. And for me, I may go through 2 camera people in a day. And they get tired after 2 hours. They get tired, start going like this, and I finally hook up on one, and it's like, oh, straighten that camera up. So, you know, you may see 3 fish that got caught in a video, and there were actually 8 fish that got caught, or 10 fish that got caught, and during 5 of those shots, the camera person was tired, or we were changing batteries, and I'm just playing around, flipping the jig, and hooked up on the fish, and so you don't get to see all of them. So that's another thing. And then just producing the show. It takes hours and hours to edit a show. The average online show that I do that lasts 8 minutes, it takes me, after I shoot the footage, it takes me about 35 hours to edit that. Yeah, about 35 hours to edit that single little 8-minute show, plus the time that it took to catch those fish. Sure. And then what about the days when you go out there and don't catch any fish? I mean, you do not have a show then. Yeah. You know, you do not have a show. I do not believe in putting a show out where you do not catch fish. That's it. You don't do that. Some guys may try to do that. No, not on Fishing with Joe.
What's your favorite spot in Central Ohio?
Favorite spot in Central Ohio? I would have to say the Olentangy River right in front of the stadium. When it comes to finding fish in Central Ohio, there's kind of a rule that I have. And it's the rule, I call it the rule of limiting factors. What stops the next guy from being able to get to that spot? What is it? Is it parking? You go to the university, there's no place to park. Is it the fact that nobody will go there? Maybe they think water quality is an issue, so they won't go to that spot. They've been told it was no good. There's no access, no boat access, for whatever reason, whatever limiting factor there is. When those limiting factors start to go up, then the amount of fish that you have in an area, it almost will always go up. Now, sometimes you have some exceptions. Some areas in Central Ohio just don't produce a lot of fish. If you go to areas on Alum Creek, like say Alum Creek, around Mock Road, just an area that doesn't hold a whole lot of fish. It never really has. And so even though there are a lot of limiting factors there,
right,
the fish just aren't there. They just really never have been. But,
sure,
you know, that's one of the things you look for, limiting factors when it comes to catching fish. Olentangy River on campus, that's one of the best spots because you have, you know, a whole lot of limiting factors there. And you've got a whole lot of huge fish there.
Like we've seen in those videos, man.
Absolutely.
It's impressive. I'll tell you that, you know, when I tell people that I fish and sometimes swim in the Olentangy or the Scioto north of 270, they're very surprised that I have only 2 arms and legs, that I don't have one growing out of my forehead.
Right.
What's the most common reaction you get when you tell people you fish the Olentangy outside of the shoe?
When I tell them that, first thing they say is, well, water quality is an issue. There are no fish down there. And it's like people in Central Ohio have been programmed to believe that there are no fish in front of the stadium. I don't know why, but they've been programmed to believe that. And I have about a half an hour's worth of video that I'll be putting out of smallmouth and more largemouth that I'm catching right in front of the stadium to just disprove that completely. Every theory that there are no fish in front of the stadium on the Olentangy River, well, in a couple of weeks they will all be smashed to little smithereens. I'm Joe Jordan. You got my word on that. You got my word on that. Thanks for watching Fishing with Joe, and I hope to see you again next time.